How are you doing today? I am Matt, and today joining me is Amarú Moses and Nick Van Dinther. Might have had a little bit of that before this started. Not bad. Anyways, we're here to talk about Shrinking, the Apple TV series. And yeah, I'm going to be honest, we recorded this forever ago. Like even before the series started airing. So we have a lot of thoughts. Had to just get it out now before we all forgot along the way. So first off, how you guys doing today?
I think we're all off because of snow and winter storms. So tired, want to take a nap, all the lazy day inside the house things. So good, really good.
How about you, Nick?
Yeah, it's Canada, so it's snowing, but it's snowing more than usual here right now. So dealing with that and hoping the power stays on.
Definitely understand that last one right now. Let me tell you. But no, let's talk about our favorite group of therapists in what was this season of Shrinking, because I know there are varying thoughts and opinions on this. I'm going to let the negative Nelly get out of the way. So, Nick, what were your thoughts on this season of Shrinking?
Okay, so before we call me the negative Nelly, this is a very good season of Shrinking. It just also happens to be the worst season of Shrinking. Similar to how Ted Lasso season 3 is still entertaining television, but the worst season of Ted Lasso. I don't know what it is about Bill Lawrence and his third season kind of slump, but
I can explain that when we get to there. Trust me.
We'll see when Lasso comes back, and we'll see if Shrinking comes back. Hopefully, if they can pick things up with season 4.
Rue, what were your thoughts on the new season of Shrinking?
He's not wrong. I call it the least good, but I love this show. It's like one of my favorite experiences to watch on television today in terms of the feel good aspect of it all. I laugh the most watching the show. I have the best time watching the show. I love the cast. I love everything about it. I put in my review that if you absolutely love a show despite having very visible flaws, it's a top tier must watch show. And this season, sure, has very, very visible flaws that I don't give a damn about because I love every episode. But I could actually talk about like where things are a little different and a little like lackluster. And I'm not even lackluster, just it also has the difficult task of living up to the first 2 seasons. So like being the least good of the 3 means this series. I'm gonna compare it to another series out right now, Abbott Elementary. This is probably the least good season, or at least first half, because the second half has been great, of Abbott Elementary I've had. This is going to be the first time I've not given this show five reels out of 5 without saying anything. But still, amazing all-timer. This season has been great. I love it. But there's a lot to say about what is like taking it down and what could have been changed or how I felt about it. But all in all, love watching the show.
I wouldn't say it's the worst. It's not the best. But y'all are heartless sons of bitches because I was crying like every other episode. So I'm going to say that right now. Listen, I think ultimately what the biggest issue that comes to this and Ted Lasso season 3, and it just seems like an issue Bill Lawrence has personally, and he's been upfront about it. Both series he has developed as in 3-season arcs. So it's about telling each of these characters' arcs in just these 3 seasons. And while I understand where he comes from, I don't think that's necessarily the best way to tell the story, because I'm going to guess some of you guys felt things, just show of hands, who thought things with certain arcs felt a little bit rushed?
Yeah.
And this is why I bring that up, because I feel like if you commit to this idea that it's 3 seasons and we need to tell all of these arcs within this time, and that's that, then when it comes time for you to complete those arcs, some things may get done quicker than the audience may have liked. And I think that's what you guys were experiencing when it came to this season, and even season 3 of Ted Lasso. Am I wrong or am I correct?
No, that's exactly what it is. There's I really enjoyed how all these characters' arcs ended for now. My biggest thing was it seemed like you had so many, because he's great at having such a great ensemble period. So many things got resolved quickly.
Mhm.
And a lot of them are like, this could have been a whole season arc.
I
And it would have been
agree.
just as good. You could have cut like some of these in half, and those could have been season arcs and could have gone season 4 for the other stuff. What I am very happy about, I don't want this to be the last one. So like,
real quick, before you even get into that, he has said he's changed his mind and he's willing to do more seasons going forward. And the Siegel has even brought that up.
Yeah. I saw the clip that he said if Apple is up for it, he's not opposed to it, which is cool. Which I like. The end of the season did not really feel
like
Ted Lasso season 3 felt like
an end. Yes, exactly.
This season does not feel like an end, but
feels
it
like a
can
cliffhanger.
be. It can be an end. It doesn't even feel like a cliffhanger. Actually,
So-
it feels
so-
like it could be an end if we wanted it to.
So for me, it felt like a cliffhanger for the character I care the most about, which is Jimmy. That's where it felt like a cliffhanger. And I say this because we know he's going to take that step, but we have an idea of where all these other characters are ending up. You know what I mean? Like, we have an idea that, okay, his daughter's going off to school. Sean is moving in and got a job as a sous chef. Liz and her husband are going to start actually taking time for one another and themselves and not focus on their kids anymore. Brian and his husband are like, and you can see this is where they left things open for them to come back. Brian and his husband are going to live in Tennessee for 3 months. Only 3 months, but 3 months regardless. And we've left, and Abby and her boyfriend are newly engaged and going to enjoy life a bit before she changes the therapy center into a trauma center. So like, everyone seemingly gets their happy endings, and then we're left wondering what's going on with Jimmy, because he finally gets everything he's ever wanted to hear from Paul. But now, when he's got no one in his life for the next, at minimum, from what they made it sound like, 7 weeks, everyone who's involved in his life is gone, except maybe Sean. Sean will be around, I guess, because he'll be in the area still technically, but he's going to be busy learning a new job and being the sous chef. So, and we know how busy being a chef is for, well, us, the public, now know how hard and busy it is from the Bear and other things like that. So like, he literally, and you see it in that last episode, has just himself. So now he's gonna have that time to put towards this relationship. And while we saw that there could be potential sparks, what happens in that time? That's why I find it a cliffhanger, because we all have an idea. People are going to go off, have fun in Spain. Sean's going to dedicate himself to it. His daughter is putting her head down and doing her training. Like, everyone, there's a clear, concise thing of this is how things are going to go, except Jimmy.
It's interesting because this season, Jimmy was one of the characters I was the least interested in. And it's interesting because I actually found this season, if you look at the framework of the entire season beginning to end, except for how things ended, this really was Gabby's season.
Yes, it was.
It is her story, from everything that goes on with Sherry Cola and her aspirations, to the rise, to the downfall, to everything that ends up leaving off with her and Paul. Like, this is her season. And in terms of that, I think they do a great job with Gabby's character. With Jimmy, I feel like, we really quickly wrap up the Brett Goldstein stuff and get him out of the way. And you've got Colby Smulders. You've got Colby Smulders there for a little bit, and then she's gone for a lot, and then she kind of comes back at the end. So you don't really get any advancement there.
She's there for a little bit, gone for a bit, there again, and then gone.
Yes. And for a season that I thought really succeeded with a lot of its guest stars, Jeff Daniels did not hit for me. And the whole storyline with Jimmy and his father, except for the comparable with the outburst with his father and Paul, was the first time that kind of landed for me. But I did not like Jeff Daniels very much in that role.
So
he got a little better as it went on, but he wasn't the right casting for me for that particular.
So I want to push back on that a little bit, because I felt that was the perfect casting, because he seemed like a guy who just, hey, yeah, we're related. I don't care less. Let me buy my granddaughter's love. Let me do this. Like that, being around people who don't care about their kids like I have been, that was mirrored perfectly for me in that character. As someone who was involved in his own godson's life and has seen a relationship like that.
So based off what y'all said, I understand a lot of what both of y'all said, but low-key disagree at different points. One, I'm going to agree with Matt. I actually really like Jeff Daniels in this role, especially the way the season was structured. You need somebody in and out, and to really understand why Jimmy does not like his dad. Jeff Daniels, to me, like really in a short amount of time, conveyed that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I could feel, oh, this guy's going to leave. And then when he does and it happens, what I would say for me, the part that was a little like, oh, again, resolved quickly was, I don't remember the character's name, which sucks. Jimmy's daughter.
Alex.
She
was just like, when Alice was just like, okay, it's fine, you're missing. Like, I was like, that threw me the fuck off.
I'm not like, the whole season was, things are quick, so cool. Like, I was at that point, I was like, I see what y'all are doing. Y'all are wrapping up. I wanted more. I definitely wanted more.
That deserved more, because
it definitely
you expect a moment of her crying in her room and Jimmy going to console her. And wait. Well, let me finish, because when I say that, because then there's a moment you get of understanding between the two. Like, is this what he did to you? Is this why you don't have these same feelings?
Yeah.
That's the moment that I thought we were going to get, and that it was building up to.
Some kind of moment. I even would have enjoyed a flip of that where Jimmy gets pissed and Alex kind of explains why.
Alice.
I couldn't tell. It sounded like you said Alex. Then you said Alice. I don't know. Thank you. Alice, where it sounded like, I would love the other one where Jimmy gets pissed in front of her and Alice like explains, no, this is why I'm okay. And I see why, and still getting that understanding. So like, either way, I did think that part of the Jeff Daniels storyline was a little rushed.
I will say this, the reason what you brought up, the reason that would have made no sense is because Jimmy has made it clear he is not trying to taint Alice's vision of her grandfather. And that's why he refuses to talk about that stuff with her. So
sure, which
is why I feel like it only works one way in that situation.
But I think that would have helped with what Nick was talking about, where Jimmy's whole story wasn't as interesting. That would have been an interesting thing to add to his story, where he's trying the whole time not to taint her vision of the grandpa, and then she gets to see why, and now it was his breaking point. Like, it was his breaking point with Paul. The other two things I want to say before we move on from those, though, or add on to those, is I would agree with Gabby with the one caveat. If Gabby's was the main character of the season, Paul was 1A, because Paul got a lot to do this season as well. So I think it was both. I think it was both of their seasons. And then lastly, the first thing you mentioned in terms of, like, I understand what you're saying, where we don't see where Jimmy's going as much as we see everybody else's, but that him choosing to go, and even though it's set up, he got Jimmy'd, which is great. I love that he got reverse Jimmy'd.
Yes.
And choosing to go in there and choosing to move on, that's the close of the arc. That for me, it's, and again, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying
I'm not disagreeing. I do agree that's the closure of the arc, but knowing that he views it in these three arc and the three characters arc has to be, and I guess this is because I do agree this isn't Jimmy's season at all, and this show has seemingly been always him, Jimmy's character A, or character 1, Paul's 1A, and then everybody else. It felt like it was Gabby, Paul, Jimmy, everybody else. And then of the three, Jimmy just it literally was a season where it was like, all right, to me at least, it felt like here's the setup for where we're going with season 4, where this entire next season will potentially be during this time where you now get a show where you can focus on Jimmy and is it Sophie? Yeah, Sophie, played by.
And that's why I like the ending, though I don't think it's a cliffhanger, because I think you could never do another season of Shrinking and everybody's arcs would be closed. But he left it enough open with our main character to have a reason to, because it also still felt like we got plenty more to explore with Jimmy. Jimmy has a lot of shit to go. And that's what I enjoyed, that if we wanted to end it, you could end it. It felt complete. It felt like a full show. But if you wanted to keep going, we're not forcing it. Like a lot of people think they're forcing Ted Lasso. I don't care.
I don't agree with that, but.
I said people feel like it.
I know, and I'm saying those people are wrong.
I love how they set that up. I just don't think it's a cliffhanger.
I was just saying it felt cliffhanger-ish because you felt resolved with all of these other people because the season was so focused on them, and it just felt like we're setting up for everyone to do, and now everyone's gone, and you get the one moment. And it's just like that didn't feel like enough of a payoff for this character.
I'm the complete reverse of you. Like nothing against Jason Segel or everything he's done with this character, but with Alice going to school and Jimmy and Colby Smulders, Sophie beginning their relationship, I could do a season 4 of Shrinking that just revolved around Gabby and Sean, and when they come back from their trip, like Derek, both Dereks, I guess, and Liz, and then they're going to be grandparents. Like, I'm not really interested in what Jimmy has left. Like, it's no fault of him. That character doesn't need to be the focal point.
I feel like he does, because he's the one with the most unresolved trauma, and we still have so much more to go. Especially, you see how he still has those flashbacks and that pull him back to how he feels about his wife and how things left off there, and how he's like there's still a lot he needs to work through relationship wise, which is why I feel like him doing I feel like it has to be a Sophie-centric season for the things to progress to where it can get really, really good.
See, that's far less interesting to me. And it's no fault to Colby Smulders, but that couple being the focal point of the story, especially with no Paul, presumably, or at the very least, he's like a guest star role. Like, that doesn't interest me that much. Gabby, you're getting to my one. You just said on my one complaint. It's us. My biggest complaint. It's us sending Paul away to Connecticut. Well, my biggest complaint in this season, even though I didn't hate it, was I really thought this season was set up that it was going to be about Paul's progression with Parkinson's. And it's not about that at all. It's about the ramifications of having Parkinson's. But it doesn't really get any worse. We don't get to see him in like these physical, health-wise dire straits. Like, we don't get to see him really deteriorate.
But that's not what this show's about. And I feel like that's going too dark for that. Feel like that's going too dark for this series.
But they set up in the season 2 finale that there was a big fight coming from Paul, and he never has that fight.
But he does. It's just not in the way you expected or wanted, apparently. Because the fight that he has is accepting that maybe it's time to walk away. That is the fight that Paul is set up for. And that is the fight that he has within himself within the first half of this season.
He has the one hallucination episode. And like, it looks like they're going to build on a deterioration of either his mental capacity or his physical capacity. Because like I said, he said that he had this fight coming in. I'm not saying that you kill off Paul, but you get to watch how the disease affects him. And I think that was something that was important for that character. And it's something you would get if you had a season 4.
I'm going to hit pause on you right here, because they bring up a very salient point, having a father who went through having a UTI and having similar. That happens to people with varying different medical conditions when they get a UTI. It is not just the Parkinson's thing. So
that's my point.
So, but that's my point. That when they bring that up immediately the next episode, that was to let you know this isn't. We're not going this way.
Yeah, but I don't think that's his point. I don't think it's about the hallucination or the specifics about it. It's
I know.
And I'm saying
I know that's not his point, Rue. I'm saying at that moment in time, that's what flagged for me. This is a different fight than what you're thinking Paul's going to do.
So yeah. I can understand that. I think having more to do with Parkinson's would have made it a slightly deeper story, but I also don't think them moving the fight into his fight about retirement, it was that bad of a storyline.
No.
So like I can see I see like you if you were expecting the Parkinson's storyline to be a little bit stronger than fuck Parkinson's, yeah, I get it, but I don't think I ever had that thought in my mind because it seemed fairly clear early on that the fight was moving away from the disease becoming debilitating, just it being a part of the decision he needed to make. I wanted to say,
especially considering he's a character who's known for not putting his family and the time with them first.
Yeah. I wanted to say the entire season it was weird as shit watching Marshall and Robin kiss and flirt. Man, that is where I wanted literally to come in and body slam her in a guest star and role just real quick.
Bro, all I could think of was the walrus episode. That's literally what was on my mind. The walrus.
Yeah, and haven't seen How I Met Your Mother.
So real quick, the walrus episode is when they talk about like the you don't find a woman attractive, you view them as a walrus for certain reasons, and Marshall views Robin as a walrus because that's Lily's best friend and so on and so forth.
I would say I think what we're talking about, it just reminds me more and more of why this show is so good. A question I had in my head was like, how many other shows do you know that could flip the focus from the main character to the ensemble and do it so well that you still care about everybody? I personally do. I am still interested in Jimmy's story. I'm very interested in Jimmy's story. And I would also love the show to continue to be a full ensemble piece that is focusing maybe on Gabby and Paul as much as they are Jimmy, or going back to focusing more on Jimmy and a little bit less on Paul. Though I think the trajectory they're on, they need to keep the focus on all of them. And maybe you got enough stuff.
I mean, you can easily make LA look like Connecticut. Let's be honest here.
And adding him being away from them, being a part of the story. I love that.
And with Alice being in Connecticut, keep that in mind too.
Wesleyan is in Connecticut, I'm guessing.
Yes, it is.
So there you go. There's an easy way to keep
every
them
character
connected with Paul and Alice in one place, FaceTime them in LA and whatever on the other. Like it's the mark of a good ending, a good show, that you can do that pretty seamlessly with all these flaws we're talking about. Again, to me are they're not superficial, but they are kind of superficial because they all are still really, really good and really enjoyable. I do not want to go too much longer without mentioning my favorite, not addition, but my favorite growth of a character who got more. Ted McGinley as Derek has been a show MVP since season 1, but he's been more of a cameo guy. The fact that
this was the season of Derek.
It was the season of Derek. He is one of my favorite characters on this show, and he continued to show why. Ted McGinley in general, he is the only dude on the show and only character on the show who isn't morally fucked.
No,
because if we really dig deep into these characters, they all are fucked. They are doing fucked up stuff, unethical things, and he is the level-headed dude, and he's hilarious being that counterpoint. And
at time, too much of a sweetheart, which we see, and he realizes that, and that's the biggest issue with him. But like, this is the guy letting his son and Sean live at one of his investment places rent fucking free.
white privilege without feeling like it's detrimental. And if you make me feel like they mentioned, I can tell that Derek knows his privilege. So that's why I need to give it to other people.
No,
I love this character so fucking much. Love him so much.
I love it. He's like, do we like this person? No. Fuck you.
He's so good. Him getting so much more to do was a huge plus for this season.
Can I say, Derek calling everyone on his phone while he's high as fuck because he thinks he's gonna die was just the funniest and sweetest moment. Like, I was like, Derek, you're not gonna die, but I love you telling everyone how much they mean to you in this process. And you even calling the guy your wife kissed and being like, you outlived me, you son of a bitch, but you're still not getting it. I was like, oh my God, yes.
But that is kind of the issue I found with this season overall. And I can tell from talking to you two guys that like this is not, I'm alone in this thought. But I do feel like, much like Ted Lasso, there was a potential for it to go darker, to make the highs feel more like highs.
There's always,
I think with Derek's heart problems just kind of coming out of nowhere, like obviously you assume they probably weren't going to kill off Derek, but they set that up, threw it in, and then kind of threw it away. They introduced the Sherry Cola character.
They did throw it away.
They killed her off. And they kind of just didn't let that sit in the way that you wanted.
Sherry Cola?
Sherry? Yes, her name is Sherry Cola. The actress name is Sherry Cola.
That's the actress's name.
Maya.
Maya, yeah.
Also,
sorry.
They didn't drop the Derek storyline. The point of that was to, one, bring his family back together. And to two, now that he's had this near-death experience, be able to tell his wife, who's been kind of the pants in the relationship and pushing everyone along, you're like, no, it's our time. It is our time. I love our kids to death. They're dumb and making their own fucking mistakes, but I don't want them to be the focus in our last few years. That is the point of that. What you're saying, I understand, but that's not what these shows are. These shows
are kind of describing a MacGuffin.
And that's fine, because at the end of the day, these shows are at the forefront. Both Ted Lasso and Shrinking are about mental health, but they have always been feel-good shows along the way. They have never been shows that go that deep or that dark. And if they do, it's for brief moments, like when Ted is admitting that his father committed suicide and what that did to him. That's the darkest I ever remember both of these series going. So knowing that, and knowing that they're from the same creator, and seeing the patterns that they've set up for themselves, what you're wanting, it's not following the formula. You can want it. No, you can want it. It's totally okay wanting it. But that's like the people who hold fucking, well, I wanted this to happen in Last Jedi and it didn't happen this way. Like,
no, I think the examples of the darkness are there in the first two seasons. That's where I'm pushing back on you. I don't get that.
But my point is, they don't continue in darkness. They don't continue in the sad.
Yeah. I think so. There was a half a second where I was like, they're not killing this dude off, right? Because I think they, again, all the issues with it comes with it being the wrap-up season, for one. So that's all a part of it. They have to do it quick. The darkness they got into, I think, fits the tone. I think killing off Derek would have been it would have been such a tonal shift that it's like, this is not this show. And it comes down to it being the last season, really, and what we've been talking about. I think using Maya as we're going to kill somebody off.
We can't even say it's the last season. It's the last season of the initially planned arcs. We'll say that.
Exactly. But still, being that, it still feels like a wrap-up season. That's been the issue. That's been the issue of this, is it feels like they're wrapping up very quickly this arc, where if he would have just been like, where am I? Okay, I got another season after this then, and let it stretch out, we might have been able to feel this heart attack more. But with what they have, having Maya be the one, I felt close to Maya. They gave me enough But when
Yes.
she died, I was like, shit. Like, I think that is where it was.
Can I say
So
that
I'm
like
not.
when we saw her on the couch drinking and everything, I'm like, oh,
They
we're not
telegraphed.
seeing
They
Maya.
telegraphed it.
I'm like, we're not seeing Maya again. I know
And I
that
don't
phone call.
honestly. I don't even think that was an unintentional telegraph. Like
I
I think
I
they
totally agree. I
wanted
Yeah.
you
think
to
that was
know where
intentional.
this was going.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was such a good. It was also great casting because everything I know about Sherry Cola right now is upbeat, comedic, the person you love, who's going to be funny, and one showing off her absolute range of being something that I've never seen her do before. Probably is the reason I connect with that character more because it's an actress that I'm not used to seeing in that place. So I connected with her like, damn, she's getting deep in this. So I think the way they did it, it was good within the confines of what we find to be flawed in this season.
Yeah, like I said, my big pushback on Matt is the idea that they haven't gone dark in the first 2 seasons, and I think that's.
But I didn't say that. I didn't say they haven't gone dark. My point is they don't go dark and then have it be something that tonally shifts the season like something like that would have been.
But that's what I'm saying. They use in the prior 2 seasons. What I found is they've used darkness, whether it's Jimmy's rock bottom into building up his character, that they knock you down to build you back up. This felt like the safest season to me in that
Yeah.
the darkness was Sherry Cola, who was Maya, who was an introduced character that was there for a little bit, got interesting, and then they killed her off. But you didn't really get to sit with how the ramifications of that affected Gabby, because a lot of that was done off screen. Derek's heart attack kind of coming out of nowhere. And then just being dropped again. Like I said, it worked as a MacGuffin, but it didn't have the growth that some of the other moments did.
But it did because it was the point of it was to affect him and his wife's relationship. So because he is still involved in it, that's not a MacGuffin. It directly affects the relationship he has with his wife going forward.
So what I don't agree with Nick on is Gabby not dealing.
That
I don't think they dropped that at all. I think I
she
felt
deals
the
with that
ramifications
the next 2 episodes.
Yeah, I feel like I felt with the ramifications of her dying because of her dropping the trauma stuff. That I felt was the growth, but I don't agree with you, Matt, in saying that they don't drop it completely because I do understand. I feel like they definitely could have gone a little bit darker without changing the tonal shift by not it becoming Derek, the lightest, most lovable character in the entire series of absolutely lovable characters, getting this heart attack and then immediately flipping it into something else likable. That's the growth. That is safe. They flipped it right back to him being likable instead of giving him a little bit of that darkness. Like they never gave him darkness. They never gave him any. And while I am perfectly fine, and like I didn't feel like they dropped it, but I completely understand what you're saying, Nick, in terms of there is some darkness they could have gone into with Derek or more, because they gave him a bit, but more darkness they could have given with Derek without the tonal shift. So I understand where you're coming from there. While I wasn't mad at what they did. So, yeah.
I still disagree with that.
Can I get a mic? That sounded like what that was. That sounded like a mic.
Sorry.
I still disagree with that. That's just me.
I will also say, because we just haven't brought it up, and it would be very strange if I never brought it up, Michael J. Fox is in this show.
I was trying to leave that for you, so that's why I'm just
especially after the movie he did, Still, last year with Apple, where you really got to see how the disease is affecting him at this point in his life. It's difficult to understand him a lot of times when he's speaking because of the way his speech patterns are nowadays. I thought they did a really good job. I mean, it was probably a lot of takes, but I thought they did a really good job of portraying it in an authentic way, but not in a way that made him look bad. As when you see the real life aspects of how it affects him in things like Still, you see that, and then it also wasn't portrayed for laughs in the way that the Michael J. Fox show did, which that was supposed to be done for that. It's not a knock on the show, but
So-
it was great to see that kind of side of him.
I do want to add to it because there is a moment, and it's his third appearance, where it is kind of played in a, oh my God, holy shit. Because we only see him before his third appearance. We only see him twice. We see him at the beginning of the first episode and at the end of the first episode. That's it. And it's at the end of the first episode when we're finding out Paul's having hallucinations. So like you're left wondering, like, holy shit, was Michael J. Fox just a hallucination that entire time? So then you see him come in, and you're like, are we just not gonna? He's like, but they're like, hey, I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck?
That is where I understand you wanting more with Parkinson's, because I actually wondered whether or not they were bringing Michael J. Fox in to just be a hallucination for the season, and a continuous hallucination as an effect of the Parkinson's. So again.
But they did cover it in dialogue. They did cover it in dialogue because what ended up happening in the months of Paul winding down is there were all these, he even said it, there are all these patients with Parkinson's coming in, and I wish I could do more. Like, I'm like, there's where I will say I would have loved seeing more of that.
And that goes into your been Parkinson's more.
Yeah, and I feel like you could have pushed him and Jim. Like, you could still have the Jimmy finding out about fucking Gabby getting the place to the trauma center and taking that out. Like, that could have been the season finale, and I'll give you that. Like, if and this is why I say, yes, I get it, but I just know how Bill Lawrence is now, so I expect at this point in time, because he's been honest, I view my stuff in 3-season arcs, and because he's been that honest with me. It's why I don't, in my head, I'm just like, all right, so I know that there's going to be a ton of wrap up here because we're ending the initial arcs of all these characters. And they've talked about wanting to do more, so there's going to be new arcs and so on going for it. And that's just how my brain computes it, knowing that stuff going into it. You know what I mean?
I have one final question that came up this season for me. Anybody else think Marisol is not good for Sean in any way, shape, or form?
Okay, so I'm not the only one who felt that way. Cool. I'm like,
I'm not gonna say not any way, shape, or form, but like those first 2 episodes, bad news. This is not good. This is not good for him.
And then the let's go party. I'm sorry, I'm not the party type. That's not me anymore. I'm like homie, this is your sign. I get that it's a big titty, like a thick Latina, but like. Run, nigga, run!
I do enjoy that. I was also very happy that she was the love interest, though, and that body type, and that actually made me really happy.
That I will agree to.
And like by the end, her not being a toxic person was cool. I just those first 2 episodes.
She's still a little bit toxic, but I think
but she was the 1 episode, 2 episode, gone back. They're lovey-dovey and they're good for each other. That's the
she's not Summer.
It's the episode she was in. There were parts where I was like, her trying to get him out of his shell is a good thing, but the way that it's happening, where she's not changing and he is, and he's trying to figure that out, that is another one where I was like, I don't know if this girl is really for him at the end of the day. But that was my question.
Real quick, I'm gonna bring this up now because he brought up Summer, and this is gonna backtrack to Jimmy a little bit. And why I was like, I wanted more from Jimmy at the end, but I'm gonna move to Alice because like part of the reason I felt like more Jimmy when it came to the end was the goodbye he had with Alice and how Summer fucking ruined it. Like Summer just fucking ruined it. And I just felt so heartbroken in that moment. But I love the graduation night. They get home and everybody's like, oh, congratulations. The summer boyfriend who's the neighbor, Liz's son, thank you. It's like, yeah, good for them. You nearly fucking ruined us. Back the fuck up. I was like, whoa, aren't you dating him? What the fuck? But then to just see Alice trying to spend time with her friend before she leaves, and then they fucking turned on each other. And then he ends up jimmying Alice and sacrificing his daddy-daughter day with her before she leaves to let her have that time with her friend. And then also let her buy her friend a fucking plane ticket so she can take her off to college. Like,
Alice's arc this season was interesting.
Weird.
Kind of where I talk about the darkness with some of the other ones. Like, I do think one thing, as great as this ensemble is together, I do think this season more than any other one, they had a difficulty in figuring out who plays where in what role and who gets more of the screen time, etc., etc. Like, I think Liz takes a back seat compared to the prior 2 seasons of what the role she had before.
Comparably.
Yeah. And I think that,
but also, I think that has
Michael
to be wrap up of it.
Michael Urie's character and his husband, they have a storyline, but it's not like when he jumped into the Brett Goldstein thing and you found out that it was all started because he was still in touch with him and yada yada yada. Like,
well, no,
his
it's still
story felt
started
relatively inconsequential.
It was still happened because it was Michael Urie ended up talking to the Brett Goldstein character and then got involved with him and Alice. So it's so that's just
but they fit him
there
into the story. His story is almost entirely its own thing. He's not really involved with anything else that everyone else is part of at the moment.
Nobody is really. That's the thing. Everyone has their own singular stories. They just all seem to be happening at the same time. No stories outside of Liz. Liz being the only one, and I think there's a reason for that. I feel like Liz is the clothespin here that holds it all together because she's involved with her husband's story, because she's involved with Gabby's story, to Paul's story to a certain degree, to Jimmy's story. She is the clothespin and the connecting thread between all the stories because she's become Gabby's best friend with Tia now gone. She has she's married to her husband and has to deal with it. She's the one who will call Paul out on his bullshit at times, and between whether it's how he treats Gabby or Jimmy or even her husband, or just getting advice for parenting. She's Alice's surrogate mom to the point where Alice, because of the relationship she has with everyone there, nearly gives up going to Wesleyan, which was apparently her dream. And she and her husband are Sean's investors in that business and only want what's best for them and are totally understanding. If you got to close it because you had this opportunity, so be it. So, like, she's the clothespin. So I can't sit here and say she took a back seat. It wasn't as juicy, but without everything that she does in this season, it doesn't work as a whole.
I understand the purpose of her character for sure. I just think compared to what she had to do in prior seasons, they gave her a little bit of a backseat.
No, but that's why I said I don't think it's a backseat, but I don't think they gave her stuff that was as juicy as she's dealt with in the past. That's the like I was agreeing with you, but I was like give her a little bit more than that because she's still heavily involved. It's just not in the way we're used to.
I do push back on the connectedness aspect a little. I think Paul and Jimmy and Gabby are all connected in each other's stories and in their own way. And I think that Sean and Alice are connected in their stories in their own way. And I think that I'm sorry, I can't remember his name right now. Brian. I think Brian's character, aside from the fact that it's not even like it ends up to Liz and Derek having another kid. They just consequently end up becoming grandparents, that nothing in their story really, if you took their story out, theirs is the one story that it doesn't really affect anything else. I think that there's a couple moments. I wasn't
saying it affected anything else. I'm saying her as a character is the one that ties every single story together, which that is true.
No, but I think every other storyline except for Brian's, you take it out and it does affect other people. But I think Brian's storyline is so singular and on its own.
You're saying Brian's story. Yeah, you didn't need, aside from the hilariousness and how much I like the character, if you didn't have Brian's characters storyline with the baby and another character that's in there and then out of there and then in there and then out of there with the biological mom. The season would have been the same with minus a very likable character.
Yes,
I do,
and I think you probably get a little bit more from Alice, which is what I was hoping for, especially like the big club night that they're going to go out and stuff. Because I think the idea of her going through this like personal summer journey, not just getting over her mom's passing, but like preparing her to leave. I don't think we got as much of that as we needed.
Yeah.
And I think that I would have liked a little bit more of Sean and Thibodeau actually seeing like that side of things, him working in the restaurant thing.
Not real quick. Not Thibodeau. Drake Thibodeau. Drake Thibodeau. You got to say both.
Sorry, that's right. Got the full name kind of. The full name kind of guy, of course. But yeah, I think that if you took out Michael Urie's character, Brian, and his husband, I think that would have given you a little bit more time with Sean and Alice, who were two of the ones that I felt their stories could have used a little bit more screen time. Where Liz, I think, she doesn't really have as much of a story. Her story is being part of everyone else's stories, like you said, Matt. But I do think that Alice and Sean's stories could have used a little bit more, a little bit more to them this year.
I guess for me, where Alice's story was fine, because ultimately she's just the senior who's getting ready to go away for school. She's just, it's senioritis. It's just enjoying life a little bit. She now knows where she's going to school. She got the full ride. The biggest question mark you had in regard to her story got answered in the first episode, and it's where's she going to school. And after that, it's just about letting her enjoy the bit of time that she has left, which typically someone would do towards the end of their senior year, which is why, to me, that's just like, all right, it's her end of the senior year. She gets to goof off and fuck around more. And that's that. That's just where my head was at with Alice.
Yeah, but the only thing with Alice is, sorry, just quickly, the only other thing with Alice is the reason she turns down the job initially, or the schooling
because
initially.
The people around her, and I totally get it.
The people around her, and also she's worried about
her dad,
Jimmy, and she's worried about Jimmy all the way through the rest of the season.
But that's the thing. That's the only other leftover she had to do, and that's my point. Like that's the only other thing you could do with her story. You did, and that's her constantly checking up on her dad and telling him how much she wants him to be able to move forward and know that it's okay. She's okay if he dates outside of her mom.
And I understand that, but I think a little bit more time in between turning down the schooling and accepting the schooling. Like you could have it some time pass and you could pick it up again.
No, that's. Because the reason I say you can't is because I know how the world of college athletics works.
No,
you can't.
We're talking about real life,
and I understand.
Yeah,
I understand that. I understand that it's a TV show. That's one of the moments of realism I appreciated.
Sure, but Alice does have the least to do, and even if it is a part of the writing of the arc that we think all of this stuff. Her and Sean had more to do and didn't have as much, but Alice, just by way of how she was written, it's the truth. Those were the two with the least to do. And I guess in every ensemble piece, people have to have the least to do. It ended up with them too.
Outside of Derek, they're the most like put together now at this point. Like Alice worked past most of her trauma in the previous season.
It still makes it the truth that they had the least to do.
Yeah, so, and Sean has essentially worked past most of his trauma in season 1, moved to working with Paul in season 2, and has been doing stellar since. So just adding to why it feels like they have less to do, it's because we've seen them already put in the work for themselves to get them to a place where they're good now.
All in all, I still absolutely enjoy the shit out of the show. Yeah. I'm really hope it's not the last season. I would love
it. It doesn't seem like it will
be. All these characters. And Bill Lawrence has become one of my favorite TV creators. So whether he makes a new show or continues them on, I am looking forward to whatever he does.
Please continue them on. Please continue them on. I don't know.
Oh,
shit just went. There we go.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
But yeah, I don't know why my shit went out of focus. But yeah, it's one of those things where like I look forward to almost anything he puts out now into the world of television. I can agree to that.
And like credit where credit's due, because a lot of the times like studios and distributors get a lot of flack. Like this pairing with Apple has been really good.
Yes.
And I think that Apple deserves a touch of credit for allowing him to tell these kind of stories in the way he wants to, because it's very clearly Bill on the page without a lot of like studio interference and things like that. And I think that's important for being able to have series the way that he has them.
If y'all could please just market all of your series so much better.
Please.
They're good. They're really good. And luckily Shrinking is one of the ones that a lot more people know. But there's so much more on that damn platform that is pretty damn amazing. So
yeah, watch season 1 of Hijack and then turn off your TV.
Wow. With that, folks, please remember to like and subscribe everything over here at Bitesize Breakdown on our YouTube channel. Check out the site where those two men have great work going on there. Rue, you just had an article not recently. Oh my God. Whoops.
So, like, I probably had another article. We are in the past and you all are in the future.
We're like 2 months in the past.
Yeah, we can't promote anything.
No, so just read whatever article we just came out with and whatever reviews we just did.
Check out our latest interview. We're really proud of it.
Exactly. I will say our end of year Bite Size Awards should be out by now, or will be coming out soon. I give you that.
It'll be about a month ago at this point.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go see it anyway.
Yes. With that, folks, signing off. I am Matt. That is Amarú, and that is Nick. And this was another episode of A Bigger Bite. We will see you next time.